Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the first RGV, first Lego League Challenge coaches meeting. I appreciate you all being here this afternoon. I know it's been a long week, and Friday afternoon, 4 o'clock, was not an ideal time for coaches clinic, but we wanted to make sure before you took off this weekend that you had some very important updates for the season. I appreciate all of the coaches that have attended. Right now, we have 26 in attendance. As a housekeeping reminder, this meeting is being recorded and will be available on the first RGV website. To be able to access that, you will just log in with your username and password, then click on FLL Challenge, and then you'll be able to see the coaches meeting there if you need to review it or share it with a coach that was not able to join us today. Today, we've got a great group of support individuals with us. Yolanda Woods, she is one of our board of directors, and we're honored to have her here today, and she will talk a little bit more about her background shortly. Joseph Beckman, he's got an extensive history with First Lego League, and he is the FLL coordinator for the Rio Grande Valley. And of course, we have two of our Vistas, Andre Adami and Eddie Hernandez, and you'll hear a little bit from them shortly. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Joseph Beckman and we'll get started this afternoon. Joseph?
Joseph, you need to unmute yourself here.
Yes, got it. Jason, if you could advance to the agenda slide, please. And I understand that we are the only things between all of the coaches and what it's promising to be a great weekend, at least up here in San Antonio. So we will go no more than an hour and a half and probably a bit less. Before we really get started, I'd like to have some idea of how much experience everybody has. So if you don't mind, in the chat box, put the number of years of experience in FIRST or robotics, 0 if this is your first year. I just want to get a sense of how much experience people have. It looks like quite a few of you have some experience, and there's only a few people who are rookie coaches. Okay, very good. So this is the agenda. We'll do some quick intros, quick overview. We'll talk about changes that are coming up for this season ahead, what teams can do now before they actually go to an event or participate in an event, the robotics challenge, and ways that First RGV can help. There's two things I want to note first, and that is that First headquarters has included what used to be called FLL Junior into FLL. There's actually 3 divisions of FLL. FLL Discover, which is mostly for pre-K up through about 2nd grade. FLL Explore, which covers grades 2 through 4. And then FLL Challenge, which was just called FLL last year. So I'll probably just say FLL, and you'll know what I'm talking about for this session. The second thing is what I would call safe harbor. And that is a lot of what we're going to talk about here is what we know or think right now. So COVID could change things drastically. We don't know. We'll give you what we think right now. And next slide, please. So my name is Joseph Beckman. I've been part of FIRST for about 5 or 6 years. I've done FLL, I've done refereeing, judging, head ref, judge advisor for that. I've done FTC where I've done refereeing and judging. I've done FRC with the big bots. I've been a judge there. Last year, for the first time, my wife and I were going to help somebody put on an FLL Junior Expo. And the date we chose was just like 3 days after first suspended stuff for COVID. So we didn't actually get to participate, but we did a lot of the planning for the work up here. I also do some other robotic programs that I won't mention. I also help teach computer science in high schools through Microsoft's TEALS program. I'm retired, and that's how I have some time to do this volunteer work. Yolanda, how about you? What's your experience?
Check your mute, Yolanda.
There, sorry. Former educator, born in San Benito, which is in the Valley. So my roots are there, lots of family in the Valley. I have been with FIRST for 12 years, started a few FRC teams, also in the same other robotics program that Joseph mentioned. I've been a former Vista, so I'm hoping that you will utilize your Vistas because I know that they have the knowledge and they have the passion for robotics that we need. And good luck this season.
The other thing we have on the slide is the portal location. You'll see that again, and the generic support email for FIRST RGV. You can certainly email Yolanda, myself, or Jason if you know our direct emails. But the support email will get whatever query you have to us regardless. For mostly the rookies, I'm going to give you some generic advice at this point. Get some help. So for FLL, you should have an assistant coach, but you may want to find some other people to help you out, particularly people who have some knowledge. If we were all together in the same room, I would say look left and right because those people with knowledge would be able to help you out. But you might have their emails or can get their emails, or maybe you bump into them. You can also use parents as a help. You can find knowledgeable parents. You can find parents who are willing to help their children out, and they can do things like search for things on the internet and find links for you and take away some of that legwork. That's a big help. FIRST has programs from pre-K through 12. So FLL, like I said, is usually around grades 4 to 6. I think it covers ages 10 to 14 here in the United States. They've done some really good studies on the impact of FIRST. They've shown that it will increase soft skills for children. So that would be teamwork, team management, communication, conflict avoidance or conflict resolution. They found that when students go through this, they're more likely to want to go to college. They're more likely to want to get a major in STEM. So there's a lot of good things about the FIRST program. So for the overview for the rookies, here's what you're going to do as a coach. You are going to assemble and manage a team. You have to have at least 2 students. You can have up to 10, not fewer than 2, not more than 10. They are going to design, build, and code a robot for this year's tasks. They're going to complete a project on this year's theme. And they're going to do all of this using FIRST core values. So there are 6 core values that FIRST has. It's one thing I think that makes participating in FIRST very, very rewarding because the children, when they follow these core values, are just some of the nicest that you'll find. And those core values: discover, innovation, inclusion, impact, teamwork, and have fun. So even though you will be competing, those core values and what FIRST wants you to do is to actually help other teams out if you can. So this is a little bit different than other sports where you would never help the opposing team do better. Here we want you to do that because the primary thing is to learn the STEM skills and some of these soft skills and not just the competition. There is a competition. It's called an event or a qualifier. And what will happen is there are 3 things that the team will be judged on: robot design, project, and core values. Your robot will take part in the robot challenge or the game. And typically there's about 3 runs and your score is the highest score of those 3 runs. And that's refereed. So that's in general what FIRST Lego League is. You're going to be building this robot all out of Legos. You've got a project. You attend an event that is a competition. So next slide. Here's what's not going to change, and I have this up here for the coaches who have done this before. FIRST RGV is still going to support members, teams, coaches. We will have qualifiers and a championship. We'll be handing out awards. We still need volunteers. there's going to be a season. Teams need to sign up. You might be able to sign up through November, but I would sign up as soon as you can. Qualifiers right now, we're looking between January and March. That might slide a little bit, but just watch the website, watch the portal. There's going to be matches and judges. Coaches are going to work with their teams to complete their project, program the robot for the missions, and practice those core values. The best teams at the qualifiers will advance to the RGV Championship. Right now, that's scheduled for late May. And the best team there should be advancing to the World Festival in Houston. So all those things were true last year, and they should still be true for this year. Next slide. There are some things that are naturally going to change. So there's a new game every year. This year, the game is called Replay. And of course, it has new missions and new rules. And you can see replays in the top left of the slide because that's the name of it. And on the right top, you'll see First LEGO League Challenge because that's the division that we're in right now. One thing that we're going to try to add this year is a practice round prior to any scored matches. Alamo started to do this a couple years ago. I really like it. What it lets everybody do is to understand their duties, understand where things are without it counting against anybody. So sometimes we get new referees and we train them that day, or maybe they've only been to one event. They get to have practice rounds where they make sure they understand the rules. The teams get a little bit of their jitters out by having that practice round, and all the other people, the queuing, the scorekeepers, all of that will make sure everybody knows where to go and what they're doing. Judging is now going to be done with the same judges for all three parts in the same room. So last year, the teams moved from room to room. They're going to go to one room, and they're going to have all three parts in that same room all at one time. The rubrics have changed to a simplified format. We'll see a copy of this in a minute. The one thing it looks like they might be trying to do is to score it more objectively. I kind of hope not, because usually when I judge, I'm a little bit harder judge than others. And heretofore, it hasn't really mattered because we'll get together and talk about the teams. If they're actually going to do a score, then we'll have to see how to calibrate that. We're also going to try to add a new award in at championships called the Global Innovation Award. And this comes off the project. It's not something that you're going to do something special for, but the judges are going to look at all those projects and decide if somebody is worthy to go on for that Global Innovation Award. That Global Innovation Award, whatever team that is, they go into a large pool of people who have done that. If they make the cut, then they may get a trip somewhere to do their presentation, and the winner actually gets some money to implement their project, which is kind of neat. The next slide, we'll see a copy of the rubrics and the judges flow. Oh, take it back. We'll have a little overview video first.
Hello, I'm Laurie.
And I'm Andy.
We are from the IET, and we are the delivery partners for First LEGO League in the UK and Ireland.
Wherever you are in the world, we want to welcome you to the First LEGO League Challenge Replay season.
We are so excited that you've registered for Replay. We know that this season may be different, but we still know it's going to be an incredible experience.
You might have registered to attend a regional qualifier or the class pack, but either way, you are going to be getting lots of kit.
The first thing will be this. This is the Replay Challenge set, and in this is the season mat,
along with lots of bags of LEGO!
These bags are numbered and relate to the mission models on the robot game table.
The build instructions for the mission models can be found on this website. Now, you'll also be receiving a set of guides.
Yes, the team meeting guide,
engineering notebook,
and the robot game rulebook.
Inside of these are 12 sessions, which lay out for both team members and for the coaches or teachers the journey throughout the season.
The team meeting guide is for the coach or teacher, and there are loads of helpful tips to support you throughout the season. as well as some really great checkpoints to make sure you've covered everything you need to.
Now, the engineering notebooks, they are for the team members. And this year there is also going to be an interactive digital version available to everyone. Now inside, lots of space to be able to record ideas, drawings, prototypes, solutions, everything that the team has been working on throughout the sessions.
The robot game rulebook is, as the name suggests, the book where all the rules are for the robot game.
But you'll also find the instructions on how to lay out the table and how to score all the different missions.
So we suggest you read this really carefully before you start, and it's also handy to keep it with you at all times when you're working on your robot.
To compete in the robot game, you are going to need access to a robot, and this year, you've got a few choices.
The Spike Prime sets.
Or any of the Mindstorm sets.
In these are everything you need to be able to build your robot.
And here are a couple we built earlier on. Now, alongside these, you're also going to need access to a device like a tablet or a laptop to be able to download the software and to program your robots.
The robot game is just one of 4 parts of First LEGO League Challenge, as well as the robot game,
You've also got the robot design
the innovation project,
and the core values.
all 4 parts are equally weighted and equally important in First LEGO League Challenge.
Now, within the robot design, this is where you are going to communicate how you designed your robot, but also explain how the code makes the robot work.
In the innovation project, you'll be challenged to identify a real-world problem to get people more active. Now, you can use inspiration from the world around you, from your communities, but also from the mission models on the robot game table.
Now, once you've identified your problem, you can come up with a solution. And using a prototype, a model, a drawing, it doesn't matter, it's up to you, but you are going to communicate and explain your solution in a 5-minute presentation.
Now, the core values are integrated into absolutely everything you do throughout First LEGO League.
It's about how you work as a team. It's about how you face the challenge and how you engage with others around you.
But as well as all that, make sure you have loads and loads of fun.
Now, ultimately, you are working towards either your seasonal event for your regional or qualifier, or towards your class pack event.
And there you'll showcase all of the work you've done throughout the season and celebrate your achievement.
Everything you need can be found within these season guides, or you can visit your country's First LEGO League website, or go to firstlegoleague.org to get lots of other resources.
I think that's about it from us. We want to wish you loads and loads of luck, and we can't wait to see what you come up with.
Absolutely. So, are you ready?
In 3,
2,
1,
LEGO!
Excellent. Those are 2 very high key individuals. So what we have here on this slide, let's look at the right first. There's 30 minutes there. The team goes in the room. They have 2 minutes for the team welcome to get set up. They do a presentation on their project for 5 minutes. They can take less than 5 minutes, but they can't take more than 5 minutes. After that presentation, the judges can have the remainder of that 10 minutes for questions. Then they move on to the robot design, and they get 5 minutes to explain their robot. Sometimes this is called the robot design executive summary. And then again, the judges will have 5 minutes. And then you'll see 3 minutes for a core value reflection. Now they can use their core value poster here. And I'm not really sure, but I believe this is the team talking for those 3 minutes. Now the judges are going to be observing core value use or not throughout these presentations. They can also get reports of core values that day from other people. So I always tell the teams that I work with, most of these things in the judging rooms, it's 10 minutes and you're done, but you're judged on core values all day. So last year at one of the events, one of my judges was out in the hall. They were passing a team and they were doing something they shouldn't. They were throwing a ball around in the hallway or blocking the door or something like that. And one of them, the student said to the other, "But what about core values?" And the student replied, "We've already been through the room. It doesn't matter." Well, it was one of my judges who heard that, and they were very incensed because the core value starts day 1 of the season, and it goes all the way through, especially at the competition events. So they actually did not get an award they otherwise would have gotten just because of that violation of core values. And at the end of it, this is something else new, feedback. The judges are going to provide feedback to the teams. Last year and the years before that, we never gave feedback to the team directly. It was only what got printed on the sheet. So on the left, what you see is an example of one of the rubrics, and this looks like it's for the robot design. If you saw rubrics from last year, they didn't have the little boxes to check there. You could circle stuff, and sometimes I would circle between, say, developing and accomplished, because I thought they were a little bit more than developing, but a little bit less than a full accomplished. Here, we're going to be checking those boxes. So I'm kind of wondering if headquarters is going to say we're going to through and add up all the points for those boxes, and that's going to be a score that they have. I'm not sure on that yet. We'll find out. So it should be more of judging than scoring. And that's just because it's hard to get judges to score in the same way. And what typically happens is we'll go back in a room and we will deliberate. So I'll just take my top team and another judge will take their top team and we'll talk about it. And that works well, and we don't have to have an absolute score down on it. So Jason, if you'll go to the next slide, we'll talk about what's changing due to COVID-19. A lot of changes this year because of COVID-19. So the first thing is within your school or within your school districts. Now, you are going to know best what those changes are and how you will be allowed to work with teams in that context. I believe some schools aren't going to allow any kind of extracurricular activities until next semester. That may or may not be yours. You may have to do everything remotely with your team, but there's things that you can do even so, and we'll talk about those in a little bit. The qualifiers, instead of being live, are going to be done as a remote event. And I'm going to explain more about this in just a minute. The RGV championship may be remoted, but Jason has pushed it far enough in this season that we're hoping that we'll be able to come together. There may be some restrictions. There may be a protocol that we follow. We may not be able to have people watching it all in the stands like we used to, but if possible, we're going to try to make it a live event. The third point there at the bottom is when we do live events, there are positions, there are roles like cuers that we can use high school students or even some middle school students for. With a remote event, all our volunteers have to be 18 years old or older. So we probably will be asking you for some volunteers to help us run these events. Now, if we go to the next slide, we'll talk more about what the remote event is and how it's going to work. First, headquarters is creating, I'm going to call it a platform. It's a platform like Zoom or Google Classroom or something like that. And they're calling it the Remote Event Hub. So it's going to let you do two things. Number one, it'll allow you to upload videos of your robot conducting the 2.5 minutes to complete missions. So it's like a match, but you're there with only your team and there's not another team there. It will also allow you to upload video for the presentations. So I said there was a 5-minute presentation for the project. There was a 5-minute presentation for the robot design part. You're going to be allowed to videotape that in advance and upload it to this remote hub. First RGV, the referees and the judges are going to be able to look at this hub and look at what you've uploaded. Now, I know you're going to have a lot more questions on exactly what it's going to look like and how you're going to do it and when you have to do it. All of those have not been worked out. This is something new that First Headquarters is working on, and we'll probably have a separate presentation later in the year that will show you exactly what it looks like and how you have to go through it. Okay, let's go to the next slide and we'll talk about remote matches. So when you go to an event, each team has 3 chances to do a 2.5-minute run with their robot. What you're going to do this year is you're going to record that by video. It says all 3 have to be time-stamped within a single day. They didn't say 24 hours, so 1 day. Your team must have a non-biased monitor, and this is wording from First Headquarters. They say a school principal, because school principals are never biased for teams that come out of their school. This person there is to observe, mark the start and the stop time. At the bottom, I've said, I believe that we're going to provide them a script, because depending on what First Headquarters wants in the video, I might say you want to say what day it is, what your team number is, what run you're on. The person who's doing that may also act like the referee. So you know the referees to start that match are going to say, red table, are you ready? Give me thumbs up. And there's no blue table because it's only you. And then they'll say, okay, let's start this run in 3, 2, 1, Lego. And they'll have a stopwatch and they'll give a 30-second warning. So they can act like the referee. And if I were doing this, I would find a principal who can kind of play along, because one of the things the referees typically do is they'll ask the students, hey, where are you from? What is your robot's name? And I would even do that the second time for the second run. And they might say, well, you know, Principal Smith, we already told you. And I would pretend like, this is the first time I'm seeing you. I even have a different hat to wear so I could look like a different referee. But you will video those 3. We'll give you some tips on to how to video, because as a referee, if you were there live, we could walk around the table and look at different things at different angles. So we will give you some tips on how to record when the robot does something for a score, and those will get uploaded to that hub, the remote event hub. And then as a referee for First RGV, we'll look at those and have a score. When you upload those, you will also score your match. And if we both understand everything perfectly, our score is going to match your score. If not, we're going to call in the head ref and make sure that we know what we're seeing and what score you should get. So that is how the remote matches should be going for the remote event hub. So the next slide, we'll talk about presentations for the remote event hub. There's at least 2, so that 5 minutes for the project, that 5 minutes for the robot design. You can pre-record the team's presentation and upload that to the hub. You do not have to do that. So you can do that live by Zoom later. I've noted production values shouldn't matter. I should say shouldn't matter much at all. There's really only one place in the rubrics where the presentation counts, and it's not going to matter if you've got the lighting perfect, if whoever has the video camera is holding and they jerk it a little bit, that shouldn't matter at all. But if the person drops the phone and it interrupts your team, you want to make sure that that doesn't happen, so they give as smooth a presentation as they can. So I said you don't have to record this ahead of time. Teams right now have the option of either pre-recording their presentation or doing it live by Zoom. So if we have an event, let's say Saturday, typically you would go to the school, you would go to the room and give your presentation. You can do that. It'll be by Zoom. We'll put your team in a room with some judges. They can give their 5 minutes of project live and then take 5 minutes of the judge's question over Zoom. Same thing with the robot design. If you want, it's an option to do it that way or to upload video to the remote event hub. All judge questions and interview will be by Zoom. It'll be live. So there's no way to not do that. Okay, so this video is going to be of the missions. Typically, we'd have the mat and the models all laid out where you could see that. So Jason is going to run this, and I'm going to have him stop after every mission because I might have a comment that is not clear from the video. So Jason, if you would start that up.
For centuries, sports have played an integral part of our culture. Moving, collaborating, competing, celebrating. Sports have paved a way for us to play and move together. The activities that challenge us physically and mentally are shifting, and we are challenged to use our minds, our creativity, imagination, and critical thinking as much as we use our muscles. As we rethink where we move and redesign the parks, fields, and spaces around us to create places to play, we have the power to be forces for change and redefine the game. Let's work together to champion every sport and every person that plays the game, so people of all abilities and skill levels can participate, giving us all reasons to cheer. It's time for us to revolutionize the way we play and move. It's time to be game changers. In the 2020-2021 first LEGO League Challenge season, Replay, you will explore opportunities to play and be active. More and more people are not active enough. Playing makes being active more fun. You get creative when you want to play, and it's this creativity, your creativity, that can help motivate us to be more active. How and where can we help people be more active? How can we motivate our community and impact the future? What solutions can we create now to help everyone to a fun and active future? Every role on your team is important to help solve the problem. It will take teamwork, imagination, and creativity. And it starts here, with your critical thinking and imagination leading the way toward fun and active lifestyles for everyone. You will also learn about the FIRST core values. The core values are part of everything we do at FIRST. They are like the members on your team. Each one works together to help you succeed. Discovery, innovation, impact, inclusion, teamwork, and fun. The core values should be a part of your first LEGO League experience. Use them throughout the season. Your innovation project is one component of the first LEGO League Challenge. Identify a specific problem linked to people not being active enough. Research your problem and your solution ideas. Design a new piece of technology or improve an existing one. Make a model or prototype to show how your solution helps people be active. Share your solution. Collect feedback and iterate on your design. Pitch your solution at an event. Make sure your whole team is involved.
This is the replay competition field. There are 14 missions, which can be attempted in any order. You do not have to complete all the missions, just try as many as you can in each 2.5-minute round. Only the score from your best round will be counted. Your robot must start from this launch area, and you should program it to return to this home area when it returns from the field. You can handle and modify your robot while it is in the home area. If your robot and all its equipment is small enough to fit in this small inspection area, you will score 25 points. Mission 1, Innovation Project. During this mission, you will use the white brick model that you have made that represents the solution to your innovation project. The robot moves your white brick model into the replay logo, or to the gray area around the bench. Mission
Okay, so a couple of things that the experienced coaches will notice. This year, the area called home extends into that quarter circle that you saw at the edge of the board. So you can now recover or return your robot in that quarter circle. That quarter circle is still the only launch area. So that is where the students are going to launch their robot. For the rookie coaches, your robot and anything it is touching has to be completely within that quarter circle. Sometimes people think their robot is just the controller, and they'll have an arm on their robot that sticks outside of that quarter circle. It can't start in that configuration. I would say that when you get the copy of the rules, to read them thoroughly, and if you have questions, let us know, because I've gone to a lot of events up here, and there'll be a team that will come up with an arm on the robot and it'll stick outside that quarter circle, and the robot can't start there. And as soon as you move the robot, it's not going to be able to complete the mission they thought they could do. So I would read through those rules very carefully to know what home is, what the launch area is. Last year, if we had a team that had an alignment jig to help the robot go straight, that had to fit in the quarter circle. That's not true this year. It can extend all the way back to the wall of the table. You can only bring one of the innovation project models to the board, so you can't have two. Like last year, you're going to want to have everything fit in that small inspection area. Last year, if you did that, you got extra points for every mission. This year, it's a flat 25 points. I typically train my teams to go up, put everything in the small inspection area, and then say, hey, Mr. Referee, get their attention and show them all my stuff fits in the small inspection area. And then I kind of note to see if they're going to check that off on the score sheet. So you definitely want to train your teams to show that everything fits in there. The other thing that is different is last year there was a ceiling on that space where you could launch. Your robot and any attachment could not go over 12 inches. This year it's unlimited. They did have a comment about they don't want you to do certain things, but you can read that in the rules. But if your robot has a large arm that goes up in the air, that would be legal this year. So let's go on and see the next mission.
Are not.
So you might want to advance, and maybe we'll only do, actually, let's go, if you can advance it to, it'll be after 3 minutes.
Will be counted.
Let's go through all the missions.
Your robot must start from this launch area,
end.
and you should program it to return to this home area when it returns from the field. You can handle and modify your robot while it is in the home area. If your robot and all its equipment is small enough to fit in this small inspection area, you will score 25 points. Mission 1, Innovation Project. During this mission, you will use the white brick model that you have made that represents the solution to your innovation project. The robot moves your white brick model into the replay logo, or to the gray area around the bench. Mission 2, Step Counter. The robot slides the step counter slow and steady. The further it moves, the more points that are scored. Mission 3, Slide. The robot slides the people off the slide and moves them to other areas, completely in home or on the heavy tire. Mission 4, Bench. The robot flattens the bench, removes the backrest, and gets cubes into the hopscotch spaces. Mission 5, Basketball. The robot gets a cube into the crate and raises the crate up the basketball post to the middle height, or to the top height. Mission 6, pull-up bar. The robot passes completely under the bar in either direction, then later comes back and lifts itself off the mat at the end of the match. Mission 7, robot dance. If the robot is dancing on the dance floor at the end of the match, Mission 8, Boccia. If both share models have sent only one cube anywhere into the opposing field, and those cubes color match each other. If there are any color cubes in your frame or target. And if there is at least one yellow cube completely in your target. Mission 9, tire flip. The robot flips tires white side up, the heavy black tread tire and the light blue tread tire. If the heavy tire crosses the red flip line at any time, it scores 0. The robot moves the tires into the large target circle. Mission 10, cell phone. The robot flips the cell phone white side up. Mission 11, treadmill. The robot spins the rollers to move the pointer clockwise. The further it moves, the more points scored. Gray, red, orange, yellow, light green, or dark green. Mission 12, row machine. The robot moves the free wheel out of the large circle and into its smaller target circle. Mission 13, weight machine. Before the match, set the weight machine to the color you want, blue, magenta, or yellow. During the match, the robot forces the large lever down until the little yellow stopper falls to score points. Blue, magenta, or yellow. Mission 14, health units. The robot collects health units from around the field, then moves them to target areas, touching the replay logo, touching the gray area around the bench, or looped over the pull-up bar post. Mission 15, precision. If you interrupt your robot, you will lose a precision token. Precision tokens left on the field can result in extra points. Remember to read the robot game rules and check for any updates during the season.
Good luck this season, and remember to have fun.
Okay, just a couple comments before I go ahead and talk about this slide. I would, as a coach, read the rules very carefully. I would make sure I understand some of those, some of the words and understand the differences between, say, robot, equipment, cargo, completely. Usually they're defined fairly well within the rules. I would make the students do it too. So you really almost want to train at least one of your students as an attorney where he knows the rules and he knows the interpretation. So typically if you're at a live event, the referee would go through the score sheet and say, hey, here's how I scored you. and the students, the team has an opportunity to say, I think we should have got points there and this is why, and to be able to respectfully explain why they thought they should get those points. So just a couple of things I'm going to point out on some of those missions. So where the robot is dancing, you might think if I have any part of the robot over that dance floor, I should get points. The rules, though, say it is the controller that must be over that dance floor. So you might have an arm or a wheel that's on the dance floor, but if the controller is not, it would not score any points. On the bocce field, it is a cooperative mission where if you do something and the other team does something, you each get points. In the update, it says if you're the only one at the match, and typically you would be at a remote event, if you do your part, you're going to get those points. So make sure you read that carefully. The other thing that is kind of new this year is for that weight machine, mission 13, the team is allowed to set what weight they want to try to get. And typically we would never have the students touch the models. That's always the referee. You can either ask the referees or you could do that yourself. When you are videoing your missions, you'll want to tell us where that is. Okay, so this is a little bit more about the innovation project. What you see on the left is an engineering process. This one is a 5-bubble engineering process, and almost every engineering process you'll see is going to iterate. It's going to go around in a circle or a spiral. This is used for the robot design or maybe even the project. The team can talk about it. And I would say as a judge, I have asked teams about it. So one team used NASA's engineering design process, and it was like 8 or 12 bubbles. And so at the end, I said, can you tell me those 12 bubbles again? And they couldn't. And they couldn't explain what happens under any of the bubble. It's better to use fewer bubbles, find an engineering design process with fewer bubbles, but one that your students can understand. So George Palnya is a Hungarian mathematician, and he wrote a book, How to Solve It. He's got a 4-box, 4-bubble engineering design process, which is great. For your innovation project, the problem is people not being active enough, and the team should find a way with a new piece of technology or improve on an existing one to make them more active, get them more exercise, get them to move more. They can make a model or a prototype. They can also do that with their challenge set. Share that solution and collect feedback. So there may be teachers, like your health teachers in school, if you're near a university, or there might be somebody who runs Little League or something else, you can go to different people and tell them about your solution, the problem, the solution, and get feedback, because they may have some suggestions and you can take those and make your project better. So that's part of iterating on the design. When you go to the event, to the qualifier, that's what you're going to tell us. Here's the specific problem that we were looking at. Here's our solution. And here's people we talked with, and here's what they thought. So that'll be the innovation project. So after this, we'll talk about registration. And Yolanda, that'll be yours.
So registration, again, is 2 steps. If you've already got an account, just go to your dashboard and reactivate your teams. The cost is $237. It's the fee of $225, which gives you your team number or reactivates your team number. It comes with the team meeting guide, the rule book, which is really, really good, and a set of engineering notebooks for your team. The challenge set, the one that you have to put together, is $90. It includes the cost of shipping, which is $15. If you don't have a Lego Mindstorm, you can use the Education Spike Prime robot. That one is a little bit less. It's $410 instead of $535 if you don't have any robots. You also can use, as Joseph said, and as the game said, any Lego Mindstorm like the NXT or any one before that. if I'm not mistaken. Next slide. So the portal that First RGV has is really, really good. It has everything that you need. The website for First Inspire is extremely difficult to navigate. It is extremely frustrating. And with the portal for First RGV, it puts it all in one place. Just click a link. If you are a returning coach, log into your account. The registration is for the events, and it's $85 per team. New coaches, click register, put your teams in. If you have more than one team, it makes it easier to register up to 5 teams. And then the finance department will send you an invoice for all your registrations. Next. So this is the page that you will find for replay for FLL challenge. Just click on the link and it'll take you to this next page. No, next page. Yes. And on your right, you see the all the replay information, the table build, mission build models, how to build your models, the judging awards, everything. Everything is right there instead of having to go look for it in all the different places. The video about the missions is right there, and the original video that we saw at first. So everything is very, very handy and makes it a lot easier when you're coaching more than one team, or if you just have a quick question and can't find your rule book, and it's just right there. Next slide. So you have 3 vistas. Andre and Eddie are on here right now, and I'd like for them to well, Eddie, I think is going to speak about FLL and what he can do to help you, because I know as a Vista, if they're allowed to go on campus with COVID-19, we don't know. They can even maybe run through your game or look at your missions or give you some ideas. So Eddie?
Hi, everybody. My name is Andre. I'm the new Vista for First RGV, and I just wanted to let you all know that if you guys need any help, any resources, or any questions that you may have, you can always email me or Eddie at either my name, Andre, at firstrgv.org, or Eddie, how you see it in there is his name, Eddie, at firstrgv.org. Mostly all I wanted to say is that if you have any questions about the game or concerned about registration or overall how to get a little bit of training in so you know what is expected in the game, we're all up for it. We'll help you out no matter what. All you have to do is email us. You can email either Jason or Jolanda and Joseph or either of the 3 Vistas. We have one more Vista. His name is Victor, but he's mainly more in the FTC side of things. So yeah, other than that, I mean, that'll be all.
Thank you, Andre.
Young professionals, young professionals.
Yeah, we need them. We need them. So the first Lego League challenge, that's the link, but we already saw that one. I do, before Joseph goes on to talk about his personal look, if you'll click on inspirational season resources. Andre? No, oops. Again. Sorry, there. There's a link on this video. This gives you a lot of different ideas. I don't know if you're meeting yet in person, but if you kind of know who your team is going to be, you can assign some of them to watch these videos or read these articles. They give you a lot of ideas of what the health problems are now, because we're not moving enough as a nation. And you know, young minds are very creative. They can look at this and they can say, oh, we can do this. So that's on there. It's off the First Inspire's webpage. If you can go back to the slide before. Okay, and Joseph, talk about your personal look.
Sure, I would count this as what I was calling your practice round before. So if you're getting close to an event where you're going to do your actual performance, you are welcome to email me, set up a time. I'm sure Eddie or Andre or Victor would do this too. And I'll watch your robot game once. As you're running it, I'll let you video and I'll tell you where to move the camera so I can see what's going on, and I'll give you feedback. And I'll tell you, well, if I was the refereeing at this game, here's how I would score this. You did this, it's not right. You had your robot over here. You didn't let the robot come completely back into home. You would lose a precision token there. I'll do that for one session. So that session, maybe it's 15 or 20 minutes. Maybe you run through a couple things and we look at that and we talk about it. The reason I said once is because there's an Alamo standard that says if I do that 2 or 3 times, then I am more of a mentor to your team, and now I can't referee or judge them at an event. So you could probably do it with me. You could probably do it with one of the Vistas and get enough that that would be equivalent to a practice round. And that's all I wanted to say there, Yolanda.
Thank you, Joseph. So what can you do now? Well, that kind of depends on whether you're meeting right now in person. But of course, the first thing is try to recruit. Get your teams together, get a captain or a co-captain or 2 or 3 captains, whatever you decide to do. Research takes a lot of time. And so it's a lot of readings, a lot of things they can do on their own. The Lego Robotics, Mr. Hino, I really like that website. He builds a robot, he goes through all the missions. He has not done that yet. I looked at his website a few minutes ago and there's still nothing on there for this year's challenge. But he helps you with attachments, how to approach a certain mission. And the other thing you can do that's very difficult for the kids, because most kids want to say, well, when I've done FLL teams, is we want to do all the missions. Well, we know that's not possible. And I tell them, go for what's easy or go for the most points. Go for 3 missions, maybe 4 missions, but be strategic. Know what you're looking for, where you want to go with that. Then, of course, the last part is the build. Another thing that's difficult for teams to understand is you can't build what you don't know that you're building. When I had the larger robots, it was always, we're ready to cut, we're ready to build. What are you going to build for? We don't know, but we're ready to build. So that's really the very last thing that they're going to do is building the robot. What they can do now is come up with a name. We know it's a replay. We know what the challenge is. Come up with a logo. The robot name may have to wait until the inspiration hits for them. Fundraise if you need to, and maybe come up with a design for a T-shirt if your school district allows that. Network with other teams in your school if that's something that you're all going to be doing. Okay, next slide. Yeah. The next slide after this one is more resources, but I think we'll entertain questions right now.
Yeah, Yolanda, there's 2 questions in chat already. So one of them is, how will the Q&A by judges be done if we upload a static video? So you'll upload that video to the remote event hub, but on the event day, you're going to be in Zoom live with judges. And so either the judges will watch your video and then ask you questions, or if you decided not to upload that static presentation, you'll give it right then on Zoom and get questions there. But it'll be on event day through Zoom. Second question, when the robots return, it can be grabbed in the quarter circle. Yes. So unlike last year where it had to go all the way back into the back part, this year that launch area, that quarter circle is part of home. So when the robot is completely within that quarter circle and or the back part, you're allowed to grab it. So any other questions, go ahead and type them into chat. I know we're a half an hour early, so I don't want you to think if I don't ask a question, we'll get out early. If we get no questions from you, each of us will ask somebody a question. So better that you ask us.
Can we go home early? There's your question.
Yeah.
There's another question from Clausen.
So the Inspiration Challenge is supposed to represent our project. The answer is yes. Sometimes it's very difficult to do that. Um, it's very cool if you can make it look like that, but I would not spend an over amount of time doing that.
A good example of that is like when we did the water, I forgot what it was called.
Hydrodynamics.
Thank you. A few years ago, one of the teams did a little fire truck and they put a little swimming pool underneath it because they were trying to save water. And so that was their project. The little girl said she saw a fire truck put out a fire and there was water going on down the street, wasting it. And so their project was to come up with something to save water, which was the theme of the hydrodynamics. But it wasn't a whole lot of, putting things together. The white bricks are new. Well, I say new, they're 3 years old now, but we didn't have those back then.
All right, there's another question in there from Anita. Will the video be available for viewing at a later time? I was in a meeting and came in late. Of course, this video will be available on the portal. So go to portal.firstrgv.org and log in. Click on FLL Challenge and you'll see it right there towards the top of the website. It'll be on later this evening, actually.
Okay, I have a question for the non-rookie judges. Type into the chat box one thing you found on the internet that you've used or your team has used. So Yolanda talked about Mr. Hino. I know that there are some other people on YouTube that have a lot of videos on First Lego League, different parts of it.
Any coaches want to share resources that you've seen on YouTube or websites? There's a question in there right now. The presentation was very helpful. Thank you. We appreciate it. Will an example of the pre-recorded match be provided? I think we can probably do that, Joseph. We can give a sample.
Yes. So right now, you will actually have 3 matches, 2.5 minutes each. I have not seen if all of that is in one video or you can upload 3. I haven't seen if you can actually upload the stuff right before that, where somebody would say, hey, what's your team number? What's your robot name? 3, 2, 1 Lego. I haven't seen any kind of direction after the match. If you come back with your video and your camera and show more of the scoring elements where you believe you have a score. So I think that all of that will have to be included, but I'd like to see what headquarters is going to say. They should give out some direction on that. We can certainly do that when we do that script that I talked about giving out for producing that video for the matches.
Yeah, Joseph, if I can jump in real quick, I just wanted to make sure everybody knows that the remote hub has not been released yet. I've seen some screenshots of it, some what it's going to kind of look like, but the rubber hasn't hit the road yet. By the end of this month, the partners should get our access to where we can get in there and look around. So once I can get in there and actually kick the tires on a little bit, that is when I'll do an instructional video of what to expect. I can tell you though, what I have seen, it looks to be pretty easy to use, which is really cool. Just stay tuned. We'll make sure that we send out an email blast to let you know that we're doing that remote hub training video that we can share with all of you. So we would like to have a scrimmage before any kind of official qualifiers. There'll be a remote scrimmage. And the purpose of that will be to get you into the remote hub. So then that way you're comfortable with everything before it's time for you and your team to qualify. We don't want any additional stress on you trying to figure out the remote hub while your students are trying to qualify. All right, so that's our pledge to you. So we do expect you to sign up for a scrimmage this year, and it will be online.
Okay, there's a question about what program do you need to download to the computer so that they can program their robot. In your robot kit, They will have some instructions on where to do that. You go to, I'm going to say lego.com, the English version. They have programs. You download the development kit. There's usually an education or a home version. You download the education version if you can. This year, for I think the first time, you can use something else. So you could use something called Simple Basic. You could use Python. You can use another language besides that,
MIT
which
Scratch.
Lego,
Mhm.
I imagine you could do Scratch if they have something where you could put it on the robot. So the restrictions is anything that's running has to be on the controller. You can't do it remotely. Uh, the other thing this year is you can use a memory chip. So those controllers will accept an SD chip, and you could load your development environment on that chip and have it in the robot. So if you're adventurous, I have used Small Basic to program robots. I know that Python is out there. I think Robot C is out there. You can do an internet search. If it's your first year, you might want to stick with the Lego unless you are a computer science or a technophile, or you've got a parent that can show you how to do it. I'm looking at the
And
vistas to
on that
see.
note, Joseph, if I can, on that note, if you've got an interest wanting to learn Scratch, MIT Scratch or Python or any of those, let us know. You know, the good thing about, and I hate I say it relative, but the good thing about COVID is we've all gotten comfortable with Zoom. So at least that allows us to efficiently come together and do training classes for you. So if there is some training you would like on how to program your robot, even if it's with the Lego EV3 programming software, that's fine. Let us know, and we'll be happy to set up a session and train you on that, or Python, or Robot C, or whichever ones you want to use.
And Eddie has posted the link for the Lego Mindstorm, the download for the software on the chat.
Yeah, and on the portal, if you just go to the website portal.firstrgv.org, at the very top there is a training survey. So now that you've kind of seen what you're getting into for this season, it's just a little link at the very top of that webpage. Click on it, fill out that information, and that will go directly to our Volunteers in Service to America, our VISTA program, and then they'll reach out to you about setting up those training opportunities. Yeah, the video, Anita, today's video will be posted on the portal as well, on the First RGV website. You're going to log in, you're going to click on FLL Challenge, and right there on the top right corner will be the link to this video, and it'll stay up all season. Any other questions? All right, Joseph, I think we're going to call a timeout. Timeout on the field, and let these amazing coaches enjoy their weekend.
Very good.
Okay.
All right, guys. Thank you all for coming. It'll all be on the website. Y'all have a great weekend. Talk to you later.
Goodbye.